The amount of body fat you're carrying right now could be the most fat you ever carry on your body for the rest of your adult life. And in this video, I'm going to show you one shift that lean folks make who lose weight and keep it off for good that you can steal for yourself. And this all came to me from a conversation I had with a gentleman last week on the phone. He got on and told me that number one, he was dealing with some fat in his problem areas. You know us guys, we love to store fat in our mac and cheese, the lower back, the lower belly, right around the pooch there. He had some chest fat and he'd been like storing this fat for over 20 years. And he was just kind of pissed about it because no matter what he did, no matter how many diets he tried, it just never really seemed to go. It seemed like he'd get leaner everywhere else, but that would just hang out. The second thing that bothered him is that during COVID, he was in great shape. He was working out a lot. He was losing weight. He was doing awesome. But then since COVID, over the last 6 years, he's just been gaining and losing weight. It would be like 15 pounds, then 20 pounds. He'd stop stepping on the scale for a little while. He'd get a little demoralized. Weight would come back up. He'd go on vacation, and it would just continue over and over again. And part of that was because life has gotten a little bit more stressful lately. He had a couple kids. He started working more. He's got a lot on his plate right now. And he feels like late night when he gets home from work, one of the ways that he likes to unwind is him and his wife will eat. They'll just have snacks and popcorn and watch a movie and make something fun or order DoorDash. And I totally feel that. He feels like that's just kind of a sticking point for him. And the next thing he told me was that he's getting older. And since he's getting older, he feels like metabolism has slowed down. His joints are a little bit higher mileage. And he can't eat the way he used to in his 20s and 30s, when he felt like he could just literally eat whatever he wanted and the weight never stuck to him. But nowadays, things have kind of changed as he's gotten older. But what I told him, I think may blow your mind a little bit here because it helped him have a little bit of a breakthrough that had him feeling a little bit more positive by the end of the call that he could get his body going where he wanted it to. And what I basically showed him was that everything we kind of do in our lives fits into these three circles. On the outside here, we have in this, let's call it the red circle, this is all the things that we have no control over in our lives. All the things that are going on in the world, like a global pandemic or the fact that you are aging and will eventually die. I'm sorry, I can't do anything about that, at least not in this YouTube video. And then in the middle circle, we have all the things that we have some control over, but not really a ton, right? Like your genetics, of course, you can't control whether you're just inevitably born to be a high food drive person or whether you put on a ton of muscle or you're 6'5" or 5'5". It's not really up to you. Sorry. There are definitely some things that can influence how you feel in those certain domains, but it's not really up to you. And then in the center, we've got all the things that you actually can control. These are things that 100% are your decision. Whether or not you go to the gym today, whether or not you eat the meals that you're supposed to, whether or not you decide to read more about nutrition stuff or hire a coach or whatever. And the issue that I was seeing with this gentleman is a lot of the things that he was talking about were all right in this outer circle. All things that he had no control over. Yeah, I mean, stress maybe has a little bit of influence over, but the fact that you have 2 kids, life is fundamentally different, my friend. The fact that you are now older, there's nothing you can do about that. The fact that you're storing body fat in the areas you are is just a product of evolution and human nature and you being a man. That's where you store fat. And there's nothing you can do about where you store fat. But there is something important that goes on when you do that, when you focus all your effort on this circle, all the things you can't control. It starts to feel like you are actually not in control. Because if you continue thinking about, oh my God, my fat in this area, oh, I'm so stressed, oh, I'm getting older, it shrinks this center circle. And all of a sudden, everything you feel like you have influence over starts to shrink. Because who cares? What you try, nothing works. And all of a sudden, everything starts to feel negative and nothing works in the way you want it to. Which is crazy because the opposite is also true. When you start focusing on things in the center circle and all the things you can control, this circle starts to expand. And you start to feel like, damn, I can actually really make a difference here. Okay, I know that I'm storing fat in my chest, my belly, whatever. Yeah, okay, I'm 49 now, I'm 53, whatever. But like, I'm still gonna go to the gym, I'm still gonna get my walk in, I'm still gonna eat my food. I know that if I, get a coach and I decide that I'm gonna do this thing for real, I'm gonna take what opportunity I can. I'm gonna do what I can with what I have. And let's just see what happens. All of a sudden, hold on a sec, I'm storing a little bit less body fat here. Hold on a sec. I knew I was stressed, but like, damn, I guess if I go to bed on time, I manage my meals, I exercise regularly, all of a sudden I start to feel a little bit better. And when he asked me, okay, cool, well, what are the things I should focus on? I know that like a lot of trainers will say, oh, Mateo, like, you know, you're a trainer, you're just gonna say, yeah, buckle down, diet harder, do 75 hard. Come on, it's all about priorities. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. No, we don't have the same 24 hours in the day. If you have kids, if you work a busy job, man, we're not the same, right? You have way bigger obligations than I do. And with this guy, he'd lost weight a ton. He had spent literally 20 years floating between this like 60-pound difference where he'd lose all the weight and come all the way down here to the bottom end. And then he'd gain it all back over the course of a year or two. And he would just fly in between these two extremes of gaining weight and losing weight over and over. The guy knew how to push. He knows how to do hard things. He'd done 75 hard, 75 times. So I told him, hey, we should stop focusing on losing weight. What we need to focus on is learning to maintain it. Learning to stop giving weight back and giving pounds back, because there's no point in losing it if you're just gonna backslide again. An ounce of maintenance is worth a pound of losses. So learn to put your foot in the door. If you've only ever lived in the extreme of I'm off the rails, drinking, eating whatever I want, feeling fat, hating life with regards to the body, but loving life in the pizza department. Okay, cool. That's you over here. Or you only know how to do chicken and broccoli and cutting out all the carbs in monk mode. Okay, but you've never lived in the middle. Of course you don't know how to maintain. Of course you don't know how to just put your foot in the door and hold on to your weight, which also is a really crappy experience. Because you're only ever gaining and losing weight, you never live in that sweet spot where you get to actually enjoy everything fitness has to offer. Enjoying the flexibility of eating plenty of food because you're so active. Enjoying seeing muscle growth and strength adaptations happen in the gym because your workouts aren't just a starvation exercise where you're like a biggest loser contestant. You're just showing up at the gym, like going through the motions like it's manual labor. You're actually getting stronger. You're fueled. You're setting PRs. You're seeing visible changes in muscularity. And that means that next time when you lose it, you actually look defined, you look strong, you look lean. So the big idea is to drive your attention towards the things you can control instead of the things that are outside your control. Because when you do that, you move yourself forward, you influence more of what you thought was actually outside of your control, and you feel a lot more empowered to keep doing the things that move you forward. And instead of thinking only on how can I control how much weight I lose, you can also bring your focus to how much weight do I give back? And so bringing up your baseline habits and the things you do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis that allow you to keep weight off are ultimately the most invaluable things that you could focus on when it comes to a weight loss journey. And it matters almost not at all how much weight you can lose if you can't maintain it in the first place. Just control the controllables. And if you're like, well, Mateo, where do I even start with this weight loss and fat loss side of things? Go watch this video next where I broke it down into literally a 60-day step-by-step system you can start following today that will pull a ton of fat off you. It worked really well for me over the last 70 days. I lost something like 18 pounds. I got leaner than I've ever been, and it felt ridiculously easy. Hope this video helped you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so I can see you in the next one. Peace.